All right, guys, we're live. This is also streaming on Facebook too. I accidentally hit the dual stream button. So if you're watching on Facebook, good to see you. If you're on YouTube, welcome back to the Baitman stream. And I have got a special guest tonight. I know we talk a lot of baits, but this guy's actually a bait guru as well. He's a big time swim bait guy. Uh, it's Austin with Dream Catchers Fishing. If you've watched Milliken Fishing, you've seen Austin on there. With Ben throwing big baits, catching big bass, but he's got a new business. It's called FishTips, and he's in the business of helping you catch fish. Now, it has been a little controversial, and there's a TikTok blowing up right now about fish tips. So if you got TikTok, you can check it out. But I'm going to get Austin in here, and guys, feel free to ask any questions, and we'll answer them as we can. I see the usual suspects are joining, but I got Austin waiting on me. I got work tonight, so we're going to stream for, about an hour or so, and let's check out these waypoints. Austin,
Hey,
welcome
what's
to the Baitman
on?
stream, man.
Thanks, Kevin. I appreciate you having me on, man. This is exciting. I've heard so much about Baxter the Bait Man from one of my very best friends, business mentors, fishing mentors, Epic Eric Galasso,
Oh, dude, Eric is a great dude. So
for
he's got
sure.
the longest withstanding care package from the Baitman. I need to ship it to him. But the problem about shipping Eric a care package is I've got some cool stuff that, but what does he not have? You
Dude,
know?
it's unbelievable. I mean, I have had one of the interesting privileges. Like I grew up four houses down from him, dude, like literally right down the road. And anyways, I was out fishing a farm pond, a golf course pond, and he was just jogging by, and I'd caught like a 6 pounder, and he's wigging out. He's high energy. He's like, "Dude, no way, man! You got to come see all my baits." And I'm like 11 years old, and I called my mom on Eric's cell phone and say, "Mom," or no, I had a walkie-talkie at the time. This is so long ago. I said, "Mom, this man invited me to his basement to see all of his baits." And my mom is like, "What?"
Yeah,
And
yeah.
anyways, man, he's like, "No, I live right down the road. I'm a hardcore bass fisherman." And literally from age 11 all the way to now, I talk to Epic probably every other day. We talk about life, talk about family, talk about business, talk about fishing, so many things. So, yeah, man. So I'm familiar with Baxter the Bait Man. When you reached out and said, "Hey, dude, I want to do a podcast with you," I'm like, "Oh, no way. This is awesome."
Yeah, man. So Eric's a really good guy. Uh, last year we had this huge tornado, and it was national news. I mean, it
I
just,
think I,
just
I may remember this.
and it hit Mayfield, Kentucky, and then it hit Kentucky Lake right near my house. And
Yeah.
literally that morning, I had like 3 missed calls from Eric. He's just, dude, I saw the news, man. I know you live close. I'm checking on you. You okay? How's the family?
Yeah.
The bait's good. I'm like, I'm good. It was really close, and we talked for an hour. He's a good dude. I need to reach out to him more.
For sure,
And
though.
we actually became friends because I just started Instagram and doing YouTube a few years ago, and I guess he come across my profile or something, and he recognized my name from Classic Patterns, which is the show I did with Mike Otten, and
Oh,
he
yeah.
made a big post. Man, watch this dude, and he did great stuff, and
For
I
sure.
always that always made me feel real good. But
Yeah, it's awesome, man.
so
Well, I'm sure your viewers. Is there a
yeah, that we
there,
got to know
is there
what
a
is
comment section? Oh, here it is. I'm
yeah.
looking at the comment section. So, anyways, I think. Oh my goodness, and I don't know if you do clips too, but I know how it works in 2023. You have these long podcasts. People cut up a small clip
Yeah,
that is just something maybe off the wall or controversial or even way honestly just way out of context because these are obviously long form conversations. That's
right.
actually what's happening right now on the One Cast channel. I was they had literally posed the question, "What's the craziest thing someone said?" And I had said it. The whole thing's crazy because I agreed to go down to the Alabama Bass Council. I said, "Hey, I will bring my live stream stuff too, and we're going to publish this." They said, "No, no need to. We're going to publish it." We did that whole stream. They never published it, made it live. So now it's literally just my word versus someone else's word, and we have no factual evidence to provide, which is a little annoying because as a man, that's what I agreed to. But with that being said, people people need context when they know about what Fish Tips is all
Yeah.
about. And I
No,
mean,
that's kind of why I want to have you on here. I'm unfiltered. You say what you want to,
yeah,
good, bad,
yeah.
ugly.
I think a lot of people, they're just, here's the deal, dude. Like, I'm one of these guys. I'm not a big proponent of change or anything, and this is definitely a change in the industry. But like I said, it needs like so much context. Not even so much context. It just needs proper context around it before anybody starts drawing conclusions. Because what people see, they see the clickbait titles, and I've learned this. We live in a
Yeah.
headline culture, but God cares about the story. Like the story is what matters. So he's selling waypoints, Ben Milliken's waypoints, whatever it is. It's like, let's just talk about like, what is Fish Tips? How did it come to be? And anyways, you're familiar with Dream Catchers Fishing. That's my
Yeah.
guide business. I've been guiding for a decade, dude. I've been guiding for 10 years. And do you guide at all?
No, not anymore.
Okay, but
One
when
thing quick, we did get a $5 donation, so always got to give a shout out to those donations. Funky
yeah,
Fisherman, thank you so much for that $5. Make you holla.
yeah,
Appreciate it, man.
yeah, that's awesome, dude. But when you were a guide, did you ever have people message you constantly about what to do and where to go and how to catch them?
I don't even think, not a whole lot, but dude, people are message me every week, and I don't fish as much as I did 4 or
But
5 years
so you
ago.
are moderately familiar though with how many
Yes.
people blow you up trying to get fishing advice.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest, I'd hate to be a guide. A guy I had on my stream, Brandon Hunter, last week. I know his phone blows up. I'll be sitting with him talking fishing tackle, and he's like, dude, I got people just, I mean,
Dude, it is unreal. Well, anyways, as a guide, I've been guiding for a decade. We have a YouTube channel. We have like 8,500 subscribers. We have like 10,000 Instagram followers, but we're always putting up hero shots, and people are always like, "Hey, man, how'd you catch those fish?" And I'm like, "Hey, do
mm-hmm.
you want a guide trip?" Like, as a guide, that's the only way for me to really make money, right? Is a guide trip. But I do own a tackle shop too. So they say, no, I don't want a guide trip. And I'd say, all right, well, do you want to come by the tackle shop and at least support me? Like, I'll tell you kind of the
Right.
deal. You buy tackle. That's how you kind of support me selling my knowledge. And they'd say, no, I don't have time to come by the tackle shop. I don't want to book a guide trip. And I'm like, well, here's the deal. They obviously they value how I catch fish, or they wouldn't ask, but they don't understand that just like a doctor has years of education to become a doctor,
Mm-hmm.
or a lawyer, or a mechanic has years of learning to be a mechanic or a machinist or whatever it is. I have hundreds, not hundreds of thousands, but I've got literally thousands of hours on the water. Like, I am a professional guide. I know how to catch fish at a very high level. It's what I do. It's the only thing I've ever known. I started my business when I was 20 years old in college. I've never had a real job. I've only ever been a fishing guide. So, like, with that being said, people obviously, they value my knowledge. They don't understand that this is how I literally provide for my family. This is how I put food on the table for my son, my wife, my soon to be daughter. My wife's 8 months pregnant.
Oh, congratulations, bud. I
Yeah,
got one of them little girls. Life's about to
yeah.
get hectic, man.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. And but anyways, like, this is how I provide for my family. So, like, I say, hey, do you want to buy a tip? Like, I'll sell you exactly how I would guide you. And people are like, oh, you can do that? And I say, yeah. Like, I'm guiding. We have 20 lakes that I guide on. So if I'm not guiding on one lake a specific day, or maybe so I have 3 full-time employees, 2 full-time guides. Like, we're guiding on different lakes every day. If someone was like, hey, what's the deal on Lake Glenville or Lake Fontana or Lake Chattooga, and I already have a guide out there, I'm like, hey, dude, what stuff are you running today? Someone asked for a fish tip. I'm gonna sell them other stuff. So, anyways,
Right.
I'd sell them tips, no problem. Well, one of the guys I did this with, we jacked him. Him and his son crushed a big bag of smallmouth, and he said, hey, man, can I go next week? I said, dude, I'm already booked up. I'm booked up for like 3 months. But you have your own boat. I'll sell you a tip. And he went out and smashed them. And he goes, dude, how often do you get blown up about like what, like, your tips? Like, hey, what's going on? How are you catching the fish? And I don't know if you follow us on Instagram, but I put up every single one that I get. I put up about 5 a day.
Yeah.
So whether it's YouTube, whether it's Instagram, whether it's Facebook Messenger, whatever it is. Just people are constantly like, "Hey, man, I'm coming into town. What's been the deal?"
Yep.
So, anyways, we created this platform for guides and highly dialed in anglers to be able to monetize those awkward situations. Because what we sent out a survey, we surveyed about 1,000 anglers, and everybody wanted information before they went fishing. Everybody said it would be nice to have information before they went fishing. 85% of people said they felt guilty asking guides about getting information. I mean, it was just like 90% of guides said they'd be willing to make money selling intellectual property.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, holy cow, we have a business. Like, this is something that's legit. So we hired some tech guys. Our other two co-founders are both extremely successful in the tech space out of Atlanta. And yeah, so we started a business, and it's one of these things like dream catchers. If anyone knows my heart, and like, you can go in the chat. I don't know if anyone's saying any. I'm sure people are saying bad stuff.
No, man, it's actually been really, really positive. Like,
well, that's good. It's because I genuinely love. Okay, dude, let me tell you something. Like, I wish I could look. Like, I'm looking at you in your eyes right now, but I love watching people catch fish.
Yeah,
like,
me too.
It is what I literally have leveraged my life on. I love it. I love watching children catch fish. I love watching old timers catch fish. I love watching people make memories. It is unbelievable how passionate I am about seeing people succeed. That's why I couldn't fish on the Bassmaster Opens, dude. I would literally tell competitors, "Hey, man, I'm catching them under docks with a jig," and I'd have guys running stretches, and I'd just be like, "Oh, man," like my heart was not in the cutthroat side of tournament fishing. And the reality is, when we created FishTips, we never intended it to be a tournament app. Like, I care about people who are coming into town. They have their own boat, they're renting their own boat. I'm already booked up. It's another way for us to monetize our knowledge and help people succeed on the water. And I've had some guys say, well, if you love it so much, why don't you do it for free? And I'm like, well, you love tournament fishing. Why don't you do that for free? And they're like, well, it costs stuff. And I'm like, same deal, dude. Guiding costs money. My time and labor, all this stuff costs money. So, with that being said, man, it's a great platform. The controversy is definitely the tournament guys. This is a lot of the controversy, to be 100% honest. And this is where I'll say I've gotten myself in trouble, and I don't think it's me necessarily getting myself in trouble. I'm just telling people how it is.
I don't think people want to hear how it is. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and that's what I'm getting at, dude. Everybody, listen, if people are on YouTube, why do you think they're watching YouTube? They're trying to learn to get fishing advice.
Correct.
Everybody's doing this, dude. Everybody. And like, here's the deal. What I'm trying to tell people is, look. If time is money, would you agree time is money?
Yeah.
If time is money, then you spending 25 minutes on a YouTube video is money. That costs time. Dude, in fact, I would argue that time is more valuable than money, because I can't get time back, dude. I can go make some money. I can't get time back. So when people are like, oh, this FishTips thing is bad, I'm like, hold on. You're zooming in on pictures on Instagram. You're watching YouTube videos, trying to zoom in, see where people are. Like, you are spending time. If time is money, you are spending time / money doing the same things that we're just creating a business around. Like, it's literally just that simple. And once again, I'm not even trying to do it for tournament guys, dude. Like, this is for a guy calls me yesterday. He goes, hey, man, I'm headed to Cayuga. He goes, I haven't been up there ever in my life. I'm bringing my own boat. It's a family vacation. Do you know any guides that are selling tips? I said, yeah, this is a great use case. Exactly. He's not a tournament guy. Mm-hmm. He's not going up to Cayuga for some big invitational. He's just
wants to have a good time.
Exactly right. And he wants a tip. Cayuga is a huge lake, and he wants a tip in the right direction. And anyways, that was the perfect use case. I had a guy yesterday. He messaged me and said, hey, he's a high schooler. He said, hey, my dad and I are coming into town. We have our own bass boat. I've seen your YouTube videos. I kind of think I know what the deal is, but I'd like to tip. And that is what we created that platform, is recreational guys going out and having fun. Are there going to be guys that use this maliciously in a way for tournament fishing? The answer is probably. You could probably speak into it just as much as I could. Dude, there's cheaters in every level of fishing. We don't condone cheating. We uphold integrity. We uphold honesty. And that's what we care about. So,
yeah. So Fishing with Gramps, another YouTuber, great guy. And he makes a really good point, and this is kind of what I said on Instagram. He says, if someone's going on vacation to a place they've never been, why not maximize your chances of catching some? So I'll look at it like this. Let's say I want to take my family out on Kentucky Lake, and I got 3 people that want to go fishing.
Yeah.
If you hire a guide, all 3 people want to fish them. You got 4 people in a bass boat. That's pretty tough. But
Yeah.
you can take your boat with 3, and you just want to go have fun. You don't care about tournament fishing. You just want to go yank on some 2 4 pounders and maybe catch a big one. Why not get some help? You know.
100%. Or dude, like I have no idea how, like I'm a bass fishing dude. I don't know how to catch walleye. I don't know. Like when I go to places, I don't know how to target those fish. I might accidentally catch one, but it'd be great to get a tip to be pointed in the right direction. Yeah, I just saw this comment. It says this concept isn't new. We have the same thing in our area. I don't know why people are all up in arms about this all of a sudden. Once again, I think a lot of it is because, and I'm being 100% honest, dude. I am a big personality. My buddy said I'm a big piece of meat. I'm a lot to chew on. I can be loud. I'm very passionate. I believe in what I say. I believe what I say is true, and that's why I'm so passionate about it. And but like Bass University, dude, they're monetizing intellectual property. There's Fish the Moment. There's Omnia Fishing is doing the same exact thing, disguising it as tackle sales. We're just creating a platform. Imagine this. We've created a platform for the small guy, the local expert that has always dreamed about making money in the fishing industry. We've created a platform to allow him to monetize his love for fishing and fulfill his dream of making money in the fishing industry.
Yeah,
So,
the OGs right here says we used to buy hotspot fishing maps with the same information. You'd rather have an app with the new information.
yes.
I agree, and that was something I was going to talk about. I mean, you had fishing hotspots, and they had all the waypoints. They had submerged log, roadbed stuff. Now, it does take some expertise into dissecting a map and maybe figuring out which roadbed is going to be good and which one's not, and that's where something like FishTips helps out, because obviously not every waypoint is going to be good or tip is for that day and that moment.
Fish change.
If you're, let's take for example, I get so many questions about offshore fishing and ledge fishing because it is a difficult part of bass fishing to master. And honestly, I could do offshore streams all the time. It's one thing Fish the Moment does. He gets tons of viewers and interaction.
Yep.
And people just don't understand a lot. But if you can give people a few tips, it can need to be community holes, but they're community for a reason because people catch fish off of.
100%.
So, give people that information. This is a hump, or this is a ledge, or this is, a road bed or a creek channel swing. It kind of gets them familiar. Maybe they can catch a few fish, and then that gets them apt to go look at their map and go, well, if I caught one on this waypoint,
exactly, yep,
I can maybe go to this spot that looks exactly the same. It's it's not marked, and they can learn and figure out for themselves. Dude, I agree with you. YouTube's all about information. Years ago, when the scrounger got big, I put up a little video about the scrounger. It's very basic, and I've learned more about it now. I should redo it. But dude, it blew up, and it's just because people, what is this new bait? That's why guys are on YouTube.
And that's kind of my whole thing. Is I'm like, be careful throwing stones from a glass house, right? You can't hate on the platform where it's an information platform, it's an educational platform, and you're out there trying to gather information and education yourself. Like I'm just like, you just can't do that. Everybody's doing this. We've just created a platform. This is happening whether guys like it or not. So what do you say? I see why you said this is going to be a controversial one. The way I see it, it's no different than guides selling marked up paper maps here in Guntersville. Listen, I've sold marked up maps a ton.
Yeah, guys been doing that for years.
I know, and this is once again, like, this is what I think's happened. I think I think it was like 2017, 2018. Everybody and their mama, it just like information. It was a free for all in the opens, the Bassmaster Elite Series. You remember that? And then they were like, "We're going to do away with these no information rules." Well, 100% honest, where the Bassmasters goes with their rules, all these other tournament trails follow. So everyone's like, okay, it's not good to get information. But I'm like, listen, everybody still gets information. I don't care who you are, what you do, dude. If it doesn't even matter if you name a guy. If Justin Lucas or someone had walked into my store and there's a couple of customers in my store, they're gonna be like, oh my gosh, that's Justin Lucas. Yeah. Hey man, are you in town for a tournament? Let me tell you how I'm catching fish. Like, information is getting passed on whether guys like it or not. So
yeah, so there's a word in there used to be called solicit.
Yes.
So, and I know this from a couple pros. I've been around many, and one of them told me the best place to get information is a tackle store. And they walk around, they don't say a word, they just start browsing, and all the locals are in there. You start hearing fish are doing this, they're doing that, or I caught them on this, caught them on that, and that's public information. And there used to be said, dude, that's one of the ways we got a lot of info. Now, obviously, a late series angler hears, if KVD's in a shop, which you don't really have to go in a tackle shop, but just, for example, a good offshore fisherman, John Cruz, is in a shop, and trust me, I worked at several of them, and hears there's an offshore crankbait bite. That's a guy right there. That's all he needs to know. A couple Joe Blows catch him on crankbait. Well, he's obviously might be a little bit better crankbait fisherman, so it gives him a good starting point. I'm not saying he's jacking their holes or anything, but I mean,
and it's not cheating, and that's the other thing. Like, never one time did I call anybody, cheater or anything. I'm just like, hey, this information thing is going on. Not everybody has an Austin Neery in Western North Carolina, North Georgia, upstate South Carolina in their network where they can just hit their buddy up. Hey man, what's the deal? Like, and once again, I mean, I just have hours and hours of knowledge, and it's one of those things like, man, it's just the evolution of the sport. Listen, we live in the information age. We act not like we act, but some people I don't think realize, like, this type of business, everybody's been kind of flirting around this type of business, and now it's here. Unfortunately, and fortunately, I'm the face of this because I'm trying to get the tech guys on board with the fishing guys, and I'm the dude in the middle. I'm the bridge that's getting absolutely pulverized.
Yeah, it's crazy. You said something about everybody gets information. We have a mutual friend, and Mike Otten. I think Mike's come film some stuff with you, and I learned a lot about people getting information when I was doing classic patterns.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to mention names, but I can tell you that there's a lot of pros out there that were asking Mike, hey, I got Kentucky Lake coming up. I need some juice and all that. And
100%.
I've got emails in my old email account from certain people, and but I'm not hating on them for it. I mean,
no, dude, once again, it wasn't breaking the rules. Like, back then it was legal. You could do that. And, but here's my other thought is, now think about this, Kevin, I've thought about this, because even let's say someone has had a career for like 30 years on the Bassmasters or 25 years. Dude, that is years and years and years of time you could have been gathering information. And now these guys, and I know the young guns, dude, I'm really good friends with a bunch of them, and they're good with electronics, the whole shebang and everything. But dude, there's years and years and years and years of knowledge that was information that was told, passed on, iterated on, continued. And then it's no information rule. All these guys have years and years of these little honey holes and whatever. But once again, like I said, I'm not even like saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying we live in the information age. We can't get upset, dude, about an information business entering our fishing space. And I love to reiterate the fact, dude, I want to work with Bassmaster. I want to work with MLF. Mm-hmm. I intend to uphold, if it is against the rules to solicit or buy information, we want to uphold that. We do not want to be a cheater's platform. We created this platform, literally, man, for recreational anglers looking to enjoy and maximize their time on the water.
Right. I think Ryan makes a good point. Says you can't give out all the waypoints and lures you want. People still have to set up correctly, present the lure correctly, detect, get a hook in them, get them in the boat. My dad always said it's hard to catch another man's fish.
100%.
And I've gotten waypoints from people, and I've gone fishing here on my local lake, and I can't catch them I would say probably the success rate of getting a waypoint, just getting lined up offshore and catching fish, is way lower than people think. I
Well,
mean,
and
because conditions change day to
of
day,
course,
especially if you're on a current oriented lake. If they don't pull current, you'll pull up. Well, there ain't nothing here. That dude gave me a bunch of crap,
dude,
bro.
freaking, I live on herring lakes, man. They change minute by minute. I freaking have pulled up on brush piles that have been loaded in a milk run and pulled back up to them 20, 30 minutes later, and every fish gone. Like school of 25 fish, gone
Yeah.
20 minutes later. But I tell guys, so this is where you kind of play into the ego and pride of a bass fisherman, right? One, you don't have to sell waypoints on the app. I know obviously waypoints is the hot topic button. That's why we're getting a lot of publicity, but you don't even have to sell waypoints. I mean, a lot of our tips are like, hey, look for rock piles in 20 foot of water, use side scan. And that's a great tip for somebody, for some people. Some people are like, hey, secondary points. But what I was going to say is I tell guys, I'm like, hey, is it the waypoint or are you a better fisherman? Because if it's the waypoint, then don't sell it. But if you're a better fisherman, then what's the big deal? And all of a sudden, because you get these bass fishermen that are like, specifically bass guys, they're like, well, I'm a better fisherman. And then I'm like, well, then what's the big deal about the waypoint to begin with? If you're a better fisherman and can fish behind guys, then the waypoint doesn't matter, So it's just so funny how guys, just talk to themselves.
Yeah, I mean, there's
about
obviously that thing with bass fishermen that, their hole or spot's closely guarded. And, I told you when we set this up, I said, I'd love to be a part of it, but a lot of the places I fish aren't exactly my spots.
Yeah.
My guy, I fish a lot of tournaments when I fish with, a lot of it's stuff he's found. And that's the moral part where I'm like, it's not really fair. Now, I definitely would be fine with, hey, I can mark you some community stuff, places that people aren't really going to care, get you familiar with what's going on the lake, get you a bite or two, and then from there on, it's on you. And I think it's just how you approach it. I've seen the TikToks from the Bass Council, and no offense to those guys, I like watching their stuff, and they act like it's like the death of bass fishing. And I get it. You put in work, you plant brush and some other stuff. That's the kind of stuff I'm not giving out. I've planted brush, and you're not asking people to give out the top secret tournament.
No, I'm just saying, dude, there's guys like my dad is a case example. Dude, my dad loves to travel the country and fish lakes he's never fished before. For whatever reason, he just literally likes to check it off his bucket list that he caught a bass in this lake. My dad loves going to Florida. Dude, my dad has never fished grass fisheries like that. He doesn't even know where to start. He knows he can throw a trick worm on a grass line and probably catch some 1.5 pound, 2 pounders. And he's kind of cool with that. But he's like, man, it'd be really cool if I could pay someone like $150, $200 and then tell me something like, hey, punch this kind of bait in this, these couple areas or whatever. Like my dad is a great example of that. And that's what I'm telling guys. I'm not telling guys, like if you are a seller on our platform and you want to be a seller, I'm not telling you to sell your number one best waypoint stuff, man. I'm like, dude, I'm just sell stuff that's working. There's stuff right now. I can tell you right now, Kevin, there's stuff that I'm running right now on guide trips, and I've put it up on FishTips.com for pretty high money, and a couple of those tips have sold. But there's generic stuff that I'm like, hey, you can go do these other things like with a drop shot, casting a drop shot around some deep timber and stuff, and catch a bunch of small fish. Like I've got no problem. And those fish right there, they catch 10 fish doing that, they'll be so excited.
Yeah, Sean says someone's willing to sell and someone's willing to buy. What's the big deal? So that's America in a nutshell. We're a capitalist society. I mean, look, dude, I buy baits out of stores, retail stores at retail prices, and I will turn around and sell them on Facebook for double, triple. And people are like, well, that's kind of not fair. And I'm like, if you know the market, if you know what's going on, there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
I do see. I finally found our first negative comment, and that's okay. You can have. We're a open book here. Michael says selling waypoints is cheap. It's not what the sport is about.
Yeah, Michael, I would totally say I understand 100% where you're coming from. Once again, you use the word sport. I'm not talking about tournament guys. I'm not talking about sporting guys. I'm talking about recreational anglers that are going out to have some fun. I book a ton of trips as a guide. I take people, I take them to honey holes, I take them to juice, I show them how to catch fish, they catch fish. This is no different than that. This is an extension of guiding. As a guide, I am purely limited to how much money I can make by my time. And now I can make secondary revenue by selling my information.
Right.
So, this for me, Warren Buffett once said, talk about capitalist. Warren Buffett once said, if you don't figure out how to make money while you sleep, you're going to work until you die.
Yep.
And for a guide, the only way for a fishing guide to make money is how? Being on the water. You got to be on the water. So for us, this is like a great opportunity for guides to make passive income.
Here's a good point. So Bob says, in my opinion, it was worse back in the day when a small group of pros with the money were the only ones who had access to info. With this, everyone has it. So I do feel, and this is my hot take, there's always been these little cliques within regions of whether it's Missouri, Table Rock, Gunnersville, Alabama, Kentucky Lake, wherever you're at. There's always a clique of really good anglers that share this information around themselves.
Yeah.
And they do not like an outsider to have access to that. And I think that's what's got the hardcore tournament guys more messed up, that all of a sudden outsiders can have access to this information.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing. This is called crowdsourcing information. So what you do is you get people in a crowd, essentially is this. The top 1% of bass fishermen make a majority of the money. That's just the way it is.
Yep.
Essentially what we're not necessarily trying to do, but there are people who have always dreamed about being a fishing guide or being a virtual guide or something. We're essentially taking the power and putting it back into the people. Like, hey, you have a local guy on his lake, that's retired. That's like, hey man, I want to fish, but fishing's really expensive. I can't necessarily afford going fishing every day in retirement with their fixed income. Well, now if they have a little extra income going in, they can go fishing, provide opportunities for memories for people. I think that, like, when I think about it, it's endless. I will tell you the number one thing that has been kind of a problem from the pros, and G-Man had brought this up, and Clark Ream and a couple guys had brought this up on the live stream with the Alabama Bass Council podcast, was they were worried that guys were going to sell their stuff. Like if you saw G-Man, so on our platform, if you want to be a seller, by the way, tonight, it's really easy. You sign up on FishTips, you walk through the process, you have to do a short bio on yourself. You have to fill out your skill level. You need evidence supporting your skill level. Like if you're like, hey, I'm a local expert.
Right.
Here's some local tournaments. I live on.
So you're screening these guys. You're just not taking Bob.
Oh my gosh, yeah, dude. We are trying.
Trot, Kentucky, and trusting that whatever he gives you is
100%. All of our people on our platform are vetted. Now, mind you, we're early startups, so we've run into some things like before we only had like professional fisherman, professional guide, weekend warrior. Well, dude, there's tons of fishermen that don't fit into those three categories that I would be willing to get info from, or anyone would. So we have professional fisherman, or professional tournament angler. We have professional guide, part-time guide, content creator, collegiate angler, and then local expert.
Right.
So, like that's one thing. Because at the beginning, there were some people signing up, and I'm like, oh gosh, well, they said they want to be a guide, so we'll make them up because it was the only thing we had. But we're constantly refining. But it's very vetted. Like we want to verify everybody. One of the guys was like, well, how many people have you not approved? And I'm like, hundreds. There's hundreds of people that I have to look at on a weekly basis and say, hey, I looked at your Instagram profile. I looked at your Facebook. I looked at your bio, your picture. They're just not lining up, Bubba. You got to provide some more stuff. So it's not just a free for all. Anybody can get on.
You don't want the guy that was just a camera boat for the Elite Series signing up and, hey, here's all these waypoints.
Well, so this is what I was talking about. So Faith First Fishing says, yes, we are definitely going to saltwater. Look, this is an international multi-species, multi-water. I mean, we just had our first saltwater tip go up last week. So anyways, but I want to continue on this one thought. You couldn't follow around Brandon Polinick and then be a verified seller on our platform and say, here's Brandon Polinick's stuff that he fished. like that is flagged immediately. We have
Yeah.
AI on the back end that flags names and everything immediately. So you can't, if you like, people can be verified, and then
So
they
could
can
I
say,
give you a blacklist of whole buzzards on Kentucky Lake and be like, if this dude signs up, he had a pair of binoculars out on me last week.
well, so that's the one thing with our platform that's really hard to do is if they are verified on our platform and they say, like, not necessarily say this was Brandon Polinick's hole, but let's say they did follow Brandon Polinick, and then 2 weeks later they went back and caught some fish out of those holes and said, hey, I caught these fish, and they ended up putting waypoints up, and it happened to be his. There is zero way for us to be able to know that, to do that. And once again, that would be if Brandon Polinick had got on our platform and sold them first. Like, there's so many things that we don't necessarily have control of. But one thing that was brought up in the Alabama Bass Council deal was one of these anglers said, well, I'm worried about these guys that are dropping waypoints on my stuff and then being verified on your platform and selling. And I told this specific individual, I said, do you not think that's already happening to you?
Oh yeah.
Like you have a wrapped boat that sticks out like a sore thumb. Guys are driving by, they're scrolling on their screen, they're dropping a waypoint. They might be fishing guides, they might be tournament guys. Like, and guess what? They're coming back to try to monetize your fishing spots. Like, you're like, the monetization of fishing spots is like, dude, it's happening all across the deal.
Right. So, back to the offshore thing, and that's a great point. So anytime the FLW or Elite Series came here, there's always a select amount of guides. I'm not naming names, and select local anglers that would drop them digits. And guess what? It didn't take but a week or so later, those spots, now they're community holes because they got guided on and whatnot. So at the end of the day, maybe they're not taking a cash offer up front, but they're making cash on the back end.
100%, dude. And I'll tell you this, like, and I can remember. Do you remember when Kevin Van Dam went on Toledo Bend deep cranking? There was he had like 60 boats follow him, and he looked at the camera and he goes, dude, I better catch all these fish because as soon as I leave, all these dudes are about to just jack on these fish. And like, were some of those guys guides? Were some of those? And here's the other deal, dude. This is the other mind-blowing thing. All these guys have GPS trackers in their boats. If I go to Bassmaster.com during a tournament, I'm already seeing where you're fishing.
Yeah.
It's like this whole idea of like there's secrets, and I'm like, look, the unfortunate thing, there are no secrets left. What is the most valuable thing is the most recent, hyper dialed in, hyper current, hyper local information, like the most hyper current information. That's what's most valuable. And we feel like there are guys, recreational anglers who get to fish once a month, once every 2 months, once every 6 months, that are like, hey, I have more confidence buying a tip from a guide than I do just going out on my own and trying to figure it out by myself.
Yeah. So I did get one comment on Instagram. Our video I just showed up says, stop giving this guy the time of day. He's going to convince other people this is a good idea.
It is a good idea. I
feel like it is a good idea. And, again, everyone's entitled to their opinion. We can disagree on anything. But
hey, ask Illumination what I'm whining about, or whatever. Illuminate,
Illuminate, long time subscriber, good dude. He's always in the bait streams. He said this dude is always whining about something.
I'd like to know what I'm whining about. I'm just simply.
I think you're trying to explain. I'm trying to, obviously I could go either way. I could have picked a side, pro or against it. I can find reasons why I could be against it too. I'm not, but. I think you just have took a lot of heat for, I don't want to say no reason, but obtuse reasons. And I get it, man. I mean, when I first saw Ben make that post, but I'm selling my spots, I'm like, damn, dude, he's really going to do that? And then the more I kind of looked at it, and so I try to do my research.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm an out-of-box thinker. Sometimes that gets me in trouble. And then I saw the Bass Council stuff. I was like, man, I'd really like to get him on here to explain. But get fish tips is more than just a waypoint service, correct?
100%.
Okay. I want to get that really clear that even if you don't want to buy a waypoint, say you just want some information on a lake, techniques, specific stuff,
100%.
You can get fish tips, and that's your tip.
Yep. So the other day, I mean, I'm not scared to tell people because I'm a guide. I've guided hundreds of thousands, but hundreds and thousands of people on all these lakes in Western North Carolina. I had a tip I put up for Lake Jocassee. These fish were loaded on secondary points. if you could do a quick Google search on what is a secondary point. I had no waypoints listed or anything. I just said, hey, look for secondary points. Fish are moving out from their spawn areas. They're moving out to summertime patterns, so they're kind of post spawn stopping on secondary points. There's a herring spawn happening. You can catch them on top water in a swim bait. No waypoint associated with it. I had plenty of water to go run with my guide trips. Didn't run into anybody else. I'd sold that tip 3 times. Didn't run into those guys. Don't know who they were, what they did. All 3 of those guys ended up messaging me, said, hey, man, the tip was great. Ended up catching fish. First time at the lake. Definitely helped point me in the right direction. So like for me, once again, I was able to guide and make money. And then I was able to make secondary income enough to take the old lady out on date night, which is important.
Gotta keep a happy wife.
Yeah, that's right. So
Clayton asked, what area of the country does Austin guide at? So you're kind of East Coast. You're epic Eric country.
Well, I'm in Western North Carolina, so I am southwest of Asheville by about an hour. So North Georgia, Lake Chattooga, Lake Notley, Lake Burton, Lake Jocassee, Lake Kiwi, Lake James, Fontana. There's a bunch of smaller lakes: Lake Glenville, Nantahala, Hiwassee.
Some good stuff in East Tennessee too.
Yeah, not too far from us, right over the state line, but the mountains are tall. A lot of people don't realize. So the lakes I guide on are the highest lakes in elevation east of the Mississippi River.
Gotcha.
So they actually all make up the Tennessee River chain or the Savannah River chain, and they all end up in either the Mississippi or Atlantic Ocean. So that's kind of how all the lakes I guide on are. They're, we're at 4,000 foot elevation, 3,000 foot elevation, a lot of deep, clear water. I have been on Chickamauga a few times. I haven't actually guided on Chickamauga. Technically on Chickamauga, because of what it is, it's you need a guide license, a U.S. Coast Guard license to be on anything that's navigable water. So if it attaches to the ocean, you have to have a captain's license. I actually don't have a captain's license. I just have boater safety. I have a North Carolina guide's license and so forth. But anyways,
that's how it is here in Kentucky. You have to have the Coast Guard 6-pack and all that. It's actually quite expensive. So let's get back. You're a guide. You're selling information. You've spent a couple $100 on your state license, and that Coast Guard 6-pack, that's $800-900.
Well, here's
your insurance. So why can you not get back a few extra dollars?
Well, so then here's the next thing, right? Some guys are like, well, I'd be a guide, but I have to go through all that. Well, here's the deal. You can be a virtual guide on FishTips.com and not have a captain's or Coast Guard license.
Yeah.
So save some money and make some money.
So I don't know if this has come across to you, but my buddy Brandon Hunter, 2 years ago.
Ryan says, is this the guy who was on Milliken's page throwing big baits? That would be me. Ben's a really good friend of mine.
So Brandon made this post about 2 years ago. It was about this time this year. And he's a guide, and he gave the waypoints for a submerged log that you couldn't see and could jack your boat up. And I think that was a brilliant move on his part because, one, it got a lot of people interested in him. But he's also helping out, not just a fishing tip, but, man, some kind of people, if you don't want to jack your lower unit up or your bass boat, I might pay $4 or $5 for a couple waypoints of some hidden structures that could cost me $20,000.
Have you ever been to Lake Seminole or any of those places down there where, like, the running lanes are thinner than a gravel road?
I've been to Lake Fork, and if you don't know the boat lanes, and speaking of, there's a guy that sells boat lane maps for Lake Fork. Sells a ton of them. Because if you come in from out of town, you go, man, that looks good over there, you may lose your lower unit.
I guarantee it, dude.
Man, this has been a great stream. We've had a lot of good questions, too, and I want to commend chat for really kind of being open-minded. And you obviously been on hella bass.
It's really weird, man. I mean, just being 100% honest, there's some of these live streams that people just want to destroy it. And once again, like I'm telling you, I'm a very independent thinker. Dude, I want to go somewhere. Can I go somewhere real quick?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay. Do you know who Yeonmi Park is? She was a defector from North Korea. She was on the Joe Rogan podcast.
No, I listened to a lot of Rogan, but I've kind of laid off.
So she was on this podcast, and dude, she said something that was the most profound thing, and I think about it every day. She said the government would starve us, so I couldn't think about freedom. The government would starve us, so we couldn't think about freedom. And I said, oh my gosh, that is what's happening in the fishing industry. Everybody is starving so much to make it in the fishing industry that they can't actually think bigger and think outside the box. They're so confined to, I need to make money tournament fishing. Dude, I was on Bass Talk Live with Matt Pangrack, who said, and once again, someone's going to cut this up and say, "Oh, he's lying," because Matt said he lost either $10,000 or $20,000 a year tournament fishing.
I can tell you for a fact that's probably on the low end.
Okay, so when you start thinking about, I want to make it as a tournament fisherman, and how do I make it as a tournament fisherman? I want to make money fishing, dude. I mean, I'm just going to say this because I'm like, I want people to know my heart, and I want people to know, like, I've made it in the fishing industry. I own a tackle shop that we do over $1 million a year in revenue. We have a great guide business. I make a very decent living. I provide for my family. You know, I'm like, listen, do you think I know a little bit? I've been doing it for a decade. Like, I understand how to make it in the fishing industry. I do. I've done it. And so people who are like, this guy's full of shit and this guy's a greedy demon and people, I'm like, well, you don't know me and you don't know my heart. Like, I'm actually trying to empower people to live their best life. Guys who are going to be 80 years old and say, man, I could have done something with my life in the fishing industry. I'm like, here's a platform. You have to have multiple sources of revenue.
Yeah.
Think about using this. If you want to make an extra $5,000 to $7,000 a year, dude, that's a very nice vacation to the Caribbean. You could make that on FishTips. We already have maybe like 26 or 27 guys that have made over $1,000 on the platform. Like, dude, this is a legit revenue source. And I'm telling guys, like, listen, I'm going to tell, we've gotten a lot of bad press because just because of the newness to the industry. I'm loud. I've said some off the wall things on purpose too, obviously.
It's okay. You know, Mike Iaconelli was loud, off the wall, did things, shocked the bass fishing world. One of the most respected anglers out there right now.
Yep, for sure. You know, but I think a lot of guys, they see one pro say that FishTips thing's a joke, and then they want to be respected by that guy. I'm like, guys, you are grown men. Make your own decision. If you want to get on FishTips and make money fishing, who cares what any pro says? Who cares about what any dude says? Like, you have to provide for your family. And if you just desire to listen, dude, if you make $5,000 a year, chances are that probably pays for your tackle on the year.
Yeah. So I'll say this, and I've been seeing it a lot. You're talking about the industry. Everything's, you know, everyone's in a fight to grab it all. We got iCast coming up. Hellabass is going to do a stream after me. You guys can go watch that. If you want to see how everybody's trying to make a dollar, everyone's trying to make the same dollar bill. You go look at all the baits that are unoriginal.
My gosh. How many versions of the mag draft? How many versions of the mag draft do we have at this point?
I've got 2 mag drafts here. I got the Spro coming. There's the Zal Dangerous thing. And, you know, the mag draft is basically an old school Osprey with the little tweaks to it.
Of course. It's like,
and there's nothing wrong with putting new twists on all baits. I'm all for that. But you look up there, Rapala's got a new bait. So this one's close to me. Jacob Wheeler design. Dude, it is a Hog Farmer spunk shad with 3D eyes. That's all it is. And I'm like, dude, you can't say that you designed this. You literally took one of the most popular baits in the South for a chatterbait trailer, Demiki rigging. You know, that spunk shad is awesome. And I knew that eventually Scott had a good product. Somebody was going to, you know, knock it off. But they're fighting for that same dollar bill. They want the guys that are buying all the spunk shit. They want their money, and that's just how it is. But until we get, as a sport, a professional fisherman, and when I say professional, loosely, because every other sport out there, MLB, you know, MLB, NFL, whatever, WNBA, it doesn't matter. No one's going in credit card debt. No one's got their mortgage behind 4 months to be a professional.
Dude,
it blows my mind that people will put their family's lives in jeopardy just to wear a jersey and win $100,000 when payouts have not increased. Dude, look at the percentage. The payouts have not increased in 20 years.
And this is where it comes down to, I think our industry is built on so much male insecurity and ego. And that's a soundbite. Someone's going to soundbite that and take it out of context. And Austin's going to be the enemy of the world again. But our industry is built on so much male insecurity and ego. And I talked to a guy earlier today, and he said, dude, bass fishing is great for two things: divorce and bankruptcy. like like it is at a high
That's
level.
a true story. There's a lot of guys that have
Dude, I
lost.
have friends on the Elite Series who have personally told me they took out unsecured loans for over $50,000 to pay entry fees. Listen, I'm a businessman. I'm a guide. I'm a businessman. I own Airbnbs. I own a tackle shop, a boat rigging deal, FishTips. Like I'm a co-owner in it. But I'm like, when I think about providing for my family and think about financial security and being a rock for my family as a husband, as a father,
Mm-hmm.
dude, taking out $50,000 in an unsecured loan to pay entry fees, that's scary, bro.
Yeah.
That does not make financial sense. You don't even have to be moderately financially literate to know that's a bad idea. And then on top of it, think about this. Think about the hard, dude. Okay, like I'm. Think about how much stress you would live with thinking you have to catch them to make a check.
Dude,
Think
there's
about
guys that are doing that every week.
think about guys. Okay, think about the lack of sleep. Think about the heartache. Think about the tense anxiety. Like I'm telling you, dude, the way to make it in the fishing industry is not a tournament guy. I've got
No.
a lot of respect for the guys that have done it and the sacrifices they've made.
Mm-hmm.
I know too many dudes that have been divorced. They have terrible relationships with their children, man. Like that stuff to me, that's the stuff that breaks my heart. Dude, I get to sleep in my own bed as a fishing guide every night. I get to hang out and come home and watch my boy play ball out in the yard. I get to play in the creek behind the house with him. Uh, and I get to anyways. Tournament fishing is a scam, and I hate
Dude,
that the tournament crowd is hating on fish tips because I'm like, here's
no.
an actual viable option for you to make money in the fishing industry,
Exactly.
and everybody's not everybody's hating on. A lot of people are like, wow, that's pretty genius, but a lot of people are like, that's terrible. It's terrible. I'm like, dude, tournament fishing? You kidding me? It's terrible.
Biggs Fishing says he's going to send a couple new baits. Dude, I like his big swim bait. Have you thrown one of the big swim bait yet?
No, man, I want
Oh,
in. What's
dude.
up? Give me
Oh,
the
dude. He
give me
makes
the
it good. Let's see
lowdown.
if I can grab one over here. This is one he sent me. I played with this one. I think this is called the Denali. I only got about 10 more minutes, man, dude. We have flown through, but we'll hit on swim bait. I know you're a glide bait guy, but that's a Biggs
Oh my
Denali.
gosh.
Now I've
Dude.
tied it up. So this one's an extra slow sink. So it's more of an upper water
Yeah.
column. I missed a great big one on it, but I need to get you back on here and we do a
Here's a
swim
good
baits only show.
here's a good question on the bottom. It says, Austin, what is the percentage of people knocking your service but paying for info? Are you saying like going around us to buy info? Because I'm like, once again, if we agree that time is money, which I would, as an entrepreneur, as a businessman, I would tell you time is money. Everybody's paying for info, some with time and some with dollar bills. Some don't have the time to do the research and they would rather sacrifice their dollar bills to purchase information, and some don't. But either way, there's a lot, like this has been going on for years. People have been buying, maps like we talked about. People
Mm-hmm.
buy Bass University. Guess what? At Bass University, they do lake breakdowns. They talk about that stuff. They look for areas like this. The paying for information thing's been going on since forever.
I mean, people have been paying money to go to seminars forever. I guarantee you, if Matt Allen and Tim Little posted a tip on how to tune XYZ swim bait to get
I,
more bites,
I've,
they
I've
would
talked,
pay $5 and
oh
get
yeah,
1,000 people to watch it.
yeah. I've talked to Tim about the platform. Tim, said he's like, dude, it makes a lot of sense. He said it just doesn't really fit our business model. I think they just kind of ran into success as a YouTuber. They
Yeah,
were
they're
just
great people. Like,
yeah, they're
I
great.
don't think they're at the point they're making more than probably the top
Yes.
Bassmaster
Oh,
guy.
100%.
So
And
they don't need that extra dollar.
that's exactly right. And that's what Tim and I talked about. He said, man, I think it's a great idea. I think he had said something along the lines of like, there'll definitely be a little bit of controversy around it. But it's a great idea. But he said, it really just doesn't fit into my business model. He goes, we kind of just do our YouTube videos for free. And what people don't realize is, once again, if time is money and it's a 25-minute video, you're learning to throw a chatterbait. You're spending 25 minutes, however much you value your time, to
Yeah.
learn that.
So when you watch those ads, whether it's My Stream or Tactical Bass or Milliken Fishing,
Or
that's how
dream
you're
catchers.
paying them back. Or Dream Catchers, it's how you're paying them back for their time, because I'll be honest. As many years as I spend filming and editing, I love getting stuff on camera. I'm the worst about. I get it loaded. I need to edit it because it is a time killer. And for what I make on YouTube to put a 15-minute fishing video up, I, dude, it don't even pay for the line I'm using.
Oh, of
So
course. Of course. And, once again, making it in this industry is really hard. And a lot of people aspire to make it in this industry. And it's like, I mean, this, like how many streams of revenue does it take? The reality is, okay, if call it, let's just for tournament fishermen, they have to have income from sponsors. They have to have, and that's hoping sponsors are covering some of their entry fees. And I'm
and
not
that the
talking.
sponsors actually pay because we've gotten into that a lot.
That's another point that I was going to talk about is that's if I'm not talking about discounters. There's a difference between sponsors and discounters.
Right.
Sponsors actually pay you. So sponsors, that's making some revenue. Tournament winnings, that's revenue. Guiding, that's revenue. Like you start thinking about this, and then once again, like these companies who are sponsors, like they're trying to get as much value as they can for the cheapest amount of dollar. Like that's just business. So they're not necessarily paying guys a ton. And then tournament fishing, it's tough to cash checks. I don't care any level you're at, but you just think about it. It's hard to make it in this industry. Almost, I don't know what percentage of the guys would you say have jobs outside of fishing? They're tournament pros, but they go home and they still are
I would
contractors.
say 60% of the
That was
guys.
the
I
exact
could
number
be
that I was.
wrong, but I feel like, and not all the guys have always had to rely on it. So, local guy Terry Bolton, good friend of mine, he's actually OSHA certified. And during the winter, the fall, the early spring, when tournaments are
Yeah.
not going, a lot of times he can fall back and take these contract jobs at hospitals, whatnot, for OSHA stuff, and make good money. So I think that's something a lot of people aren't seeing. I'd like to stress to the college, high school fishermen is it's fun to tournament fish, but you're gonna have to use that degree or trade. I'd go into
100%.
trade big
I want
time.
to. I want to get. Let's see. Let's see. He said, I'm not a Milliken fanboy or anything, but he gave me the most valuable tip in a very long time for free last year. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
It says, wear my logo for 30% off. Yeah, that's exactly that's the industry. Welcome to bass fishing. Michael Menon said something really good. I want to talk about it. He said, for
sure.
me, I never understood the fun and satisfaction of bass fishing if you don't work for your fish, especially if that someone had enough passion for the sport to buy a bass boat. I would agree with you, Michael. I'm very much like you. I enjoy finding my own fish. I mean, I'm a dude. I won college events. I almost qualified for the Bassmaster Classic through the collegiate series. Like I'm a hardcore tournament guy. I love figuring out my fish. But there are guys. I'm a fishing guide full time. There are guys that they just want to go catch fish. And think about this: if I go out with my 2-year-old son and I'm like grinding for 3 hours trying to figure him out, do you think that's fun for my 3 or 2-year-old son?
No,
No. So it's like there are dads who are like, man, I want to make a memory with my son. I haven't been out in 2 months. He's my son's 8 years old. I'm trying to get him off of video games. Dude, I would buy it like someone that guy would buy a tip in a heartbeat if it meant, helping
right.
him fish in the boat and getting his son involved in the outdoors. Like that's a no-brainer.
And I'll also say to that, if you're spending that money on a bass boat, and they ain't cheap, trust me, interest
Yeah.
rates are through the roof too. If you're spending all that money, do you want to go take it out and not catch fish?
Exactly right. And then insurance,
Yep.
fuel. Oh my goodness. You start adding up the expenses. So
Well, dude, I told my wife I was going to stream for about an hour. We have
awesome.
really hit it awesome.
Yeah, dude,
Here's the
that
thing,
flew by.
Austin.
I feel like we just started.
Oh no, dude. I'm on midnights too, so
Oh man.
when we scheduled this, I was on day shift. But I work in a union shop, and you know how
Okay.
seniority goes. But actually, I got forced to train some people, uh, so they're getting my union tips, I guess. But I'm getting a good raise for that. But I want to have you back on whenever. Everyone in chat seems like it. We need to talk dream catchers and swim bait fishing.
Dude, would love to. I mean,
Do
if anybody knows my heart, people know dude, it's about all I throw. I love swim bait fishing. I live in the lakes of the Southern Trout Eaters, which was a huge inspiration to this business too. Have a great relationship with those guys, Jeremy Pratt, Matt Peters, Brad Rutherford. So anyways, but man, I appreciate you having me on. Appreciate the love in the comment section. I appreciate guys having an open mind, thinking about this. Um,
absolutely.
And as independent
And
thinkers,
if anybody decides to clip this and put it on TikTok, I don't think there's nothing too crazy on here. Please tag me.
yeah, yeah,
Just
and
give me a little
just
credit.
you can put whatever, tag everything I said negative, make it little sound bites, and make it just sound like I'm the worst person ever because it's already going on.
This is a funny comment before we sign off. It says, "No hate here. Can't see myself buying info because I'm not because I'm too good, because I'm scared I'd already have a waypoint." That's funny. I could see that happening.
That
But
100%. So
guys, we're gonna drop off here. I'm gonna probably stream Sunday night. I'm gonna do a rate and roast of the iCast new products. So
cool. Hey, fish tips will be there. I'm hoping we win
best new product.
Information and education category. I'm hoping we win best in show for new products. So.
I haven't been in a long time. If I was there, I'd vote for you.
Well, I appreciate it a ton, dude.
So, Austin, I'm going to sign off. Guys, make sure you give this a like, share it up, leave a comment, whatnot. And I'll be back Sunday night. Appreciate y'all.
All right. See you, bud.